Welcome, everybody, to the Assuminati podcast.
Welcome.
Ooh.
Hello.
Like and subscribe.
And subscribe right off the bat. Thank you.
Just a reminder.
You haven't even heard us, but please subscribe.
Yep. And that's the end of the episode. We'll see everybody next week.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe not. Well, this week we are diving into the 80s. We've hit the 60s. We've hit the 70s. It is time to tackle the 80s. And once again, we are giving our picks for an album that we can listen to start to finish, front to back, and not skip a track. Not necessarily the best album of the 80s, but maybe pretty close. We'll start talking. We'll start going here.
Hey, how come you switched your albums behind your head?
It's nothing but 80s, baby.
You switched
he does this every week.
Last week was all 70s. This time it's the 80s.
The 80s, baby.
Oh, baby. Well, let's get into it. I think...
there was a lot of bad songs in the 80s.
Okay, let's talk about that real quick first. How we feel overall about the decade that is the 80s.
The decade as a whole,
it's like,
you can overlook it.
It's like the glass is half empty, half full, right, Robert?
Really is.
You're saying there's a lot of bad songs, but I'm saying there's a lot of good songs in the 80s.
One thing I noticed.
I had the same.
Go ahead.
I had the same opinion this time as I did last time. I really had a hard time whittling it down to one or two albums, and in fact, I still have probably about four that are on my mind tonight. We'll get it down to one by the time you're done with your pick. But I'm just saying, it was tough. It was tough to come down.
It was tougher than I thought.
Of albums.
It was tougher than I thought it would be as well. This decade just seems unapologetic. It's cheesy, it's loud, it's fun. I don't think there has to be more one-hit wonders in this decade than any other decade. Can you guys agree with me on that? Or maybe that's
absolutely.
Maybe there's okay.
It for sure wasn't the 70s.
So many one-hit wonders, and maybe that's what made this decade so fun. I think by far this has the more fun music in it. Takes itself less serious in this decade. They stumbled upon a lot of new technology, a lot of synthesizing, drum kit type technology that kind of progressed the music towards what we got that decade. Not a whole lot of deep stuff unless you dive a little deeper, which is kind of why I'm going to go first and give my pick. You guys ready for this?
Bring it on.
Bring it.
Let's see if I can get you to guess what it is. I'm gonna get into costume real quick.
Oh, costume.
Beastie Boys.
Okay. No, not Licensed to Ill. Do it for Africa. Do it for the children.
Oh no. You going U2, huh?
Ooh, good guess.
Are you going Joshua Tree?
Sure am. Joshua Tree.
Dang it.
Did you pick that?
No.
But you wanted to.
Matt, for real, dude. I can go with my plan B.
Nope. No, go with this one. I'll make my I'm still making up my mind, but I will say it was
Joshua Tree.
It was definitely one that I listen to all the time, still
on
start
repeat.
to finish.
Repeat. This album, front to back, start to finish, especially if you're driving through the desert in a car with no name.
It's driving through the desert on a horse with no name.
Thank you, Robert.
Totally different band.
There we go. But we hit on that heavily last decade. Now, this was an American inspired album from this band from Ireland. As they visited and toured America, it inspired them, especially Bono, to write the lyrics and to write the sound and the songs that you hear on this album front to back. So heavily inspired by America, the desert especially, hence the pick of the Joshua Tree for the album cover as well as the album name. Deep lyrics. He hated our president at the time. Can you guess who that was?
Well,
Ronald
let's see.
Reagan.
When did this
Yeah.
this one came out? When in the 80s? Was
Yeah,
it?
this was a love letter to Ronald Reagan, that's for sure.
It's very nice of them.
87.
Yeah.
It was released in 87. Yeah. Okay.
It starts with my favorite U2 song, Where the Streets Have No Name. I listened to that song non-stop. I've been playing it on the guitar all week, trying to find the Edge's sound. The name of the guitarist is The Edge. And he stumbled upon a lot of technology himself, and he used a lot of it in this album. And so I've got this little pedal over here with 80 different effects with echoes and reverb. And I think I finally found the sound, but still haven't found what I'm looking for, which is the second song on the album. And then it goes into With or Without You, the third song on it just keeps going hit after hit. An amazing album. I'm not a huge fan of Bono himself. He kind of bugs. How do you guys feel about Bono?
I like Bono. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, he's all right.
He loves wearing sunglasses because he's got sensitive eyes. That's what he says.
He turns it on for the camera, though. It is kind of how I feel. If the camera's there, he's there. And he does use his platform a lot. He is an activist. I got to give him some credit there. The Joshua
I think
Tree.
he does a lot of good.
He does. He's raised a lot of money for charity. He has a special place in his heart for Africa, especially. You'll see him there often and raising money often. But what a great album. Talented musicians. Cool story. What are your thoughts, guys? What do you think of my pick?
I think that's an excellent pick.
You did well. I like that.
Yeah, this is definitely an album you can just start and finish. You know, no problem. No skips. My favorite song on that album is Red Hill Mining Town.
Ooh, good one. I had to rediscover that one myself. I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that I listened to it start to finish. I've got the album coming in the mail. I'm going to hang it on my wall. It's one of those albums that can get messed up with streaming services if it gets chopped up or skipped in any way. So I definitely wanted the vinyl for that one. But yeah, just that combination of wide open spaces, that fill the room type sound with some Irish root American music as well. I thought it was such a cool album. That's my pick.
Yeah, good pick. Good pick.
Very well done.
Let's see.
You must listen to music once in a while.
The album won the Grammy for Album of the Year, as well as Best Rock Performance by a Duo or Group with a Vocal in 1988. So yeah, it came out in 1987, won a bunch of awards in 1988. They went from...
It's among the best-selling albums of all time.
It is, or at least 30 million from what I see here. I think it was mixed by Steve Lillywhite, which is he's a super famous producer in that genre. He's done a lot of bands, especially in the 90s. One of my favorite bands is Dave Matthews, and he's done a few sessions with him. And okay, well, that's my pick. That's my pick, and I'm sticking to it. Out of all the hard rock hair bands and cheesy pop music throughout the decade, I landed on something a little deeper, a little softer, but still, I think some of those songs rock harder than people think. I think everybody should go check it out if you haven't listened to it start to finish. So that's my pick. Who's next?
I'll go next.
Hey, Uncle Bobby, what you got for us?
All right. Well, I'm gonna read some of the lyrics and see if you guys can guess this one. You guys ready?
Ready.
Okay. All right. We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I. A full commitments that I'm thinking of. You wouldn't get this from any other guy. I just want to tell you how I'm feeling. Gotta make you understand. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you.
That's Astley.
We just got Rick rolled. What happened?
Rick Astley.
Yeah, that's not really my pick.
Oh, listening to you quote those lyrics and then watching your face was the best. Oh,
yeah, I was just waiting to see if you get it. I didn't give it nearly the charm that Rick Astley gave it.
No, that's excellent. Excellent work.
Thank you. Hmm. I was gonna also play the music video in the background, but our host restricted my sharing privileges, and I knew if I asked for permission, he'd know what I was gonna put down. So,
In
there
all
you go.
honesty, that would have been a solid choice. I'm just saying,
It's probably one of the most listened to songs on YouTube, like of all time. So, you know,
good stuff.
yeah. But my real pick, I'm going a little bit harder than you two, and we're gonna go for some Guns and Roses.
Appetite.
Yes,
That's
Appetite.
1987.
Okay,
with-
so we're all on the same page, just FYI. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So Guns N' Roses, they're a lot harder than some of the music we've been talking about in the last couple episodes. But the album opens up with Welcome to the Jungle. And did you know that MTV wouldn't play that song?
I didn't know that.
What was the reason?
It is just too good for them, I think. But they really, the band had to really lobby MTV to get them to play it, and they finally convinced them to play it just once, one night for 3 nights only. And Welcome to the Jungle became the most requested video on MTV's network. So just shows that they had to get their music out there. They knew it was good, and they got it out there. Love Guns N' Roses. Some of the songs on this album
proving that MTV doesn't know what they're doing.
They have no clue.
Yeah. Was that about the time they stopped playing music? That might have been it.
It might have been. But some of the songs on this album, this was their debut album, but Welcome to the Jungle, Sweet Child of Mine, Night Train, there's some really pretty darn good songs on it. So I was listening to it to drown out the screaming of my children this evening, and it just made me really happy.
Works well, doesn't it?
So you weren't singing Sweet Child of Mine to him? You were...
No, I started with Welcome to the Jungle because that's how I feel about my home sometimes.
Mr. Brownstone too. That I crank. That I'll go deaf.
Yeah,
one day cranking that song. This is probably the album that I've bought the most from that decade. I've owned it on tape, CD, MP3. I think I had it on vinyl at one point. I think I bought it twice on CD. But golly, what a staple of the 80s, right?
Yeah, it really took some time for it to catch on though, because when the album debuted, it was number 182 on the Billboard's 200.
Nobody knew him.
It took several months after the release, and they'd only sold 200,000 copies, and the band was ready to just walk away from the record. And radio stations didn't want to play the song, and it really took a lot of pushing from the band and their agent to get them to play it. And once it got out there, people loved it, and I think it's a cult classic.
It's one of the best selling albums of all time now.
For sure.
It was the best lineup too, in my view, of the band.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had all the good guys. Izzy,
Duff.
Adler, Duff, Slash, and Axl.
Man.
So it was before the days of Matt Sorum on the drums and kind of missing a few key pieces a little later on. So this was the key core, I think, of who Guns N' Roses really was at the time.
Yeah. Well, and these guys can still rock. Do you guys remember when we went to their concert a couple years ago?
Yeah, we got a connection here, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like all the original people in the band, but some of those old guys, they can move, and they put on quite a concert.
Yeah. It was most of them, I think. I just think they were missing Adler, right?
There it is. There it is. They reunited the band for the time we went. That was a good night. That was a fun night. Oof.
Very enjoyable. So that's my pick, and I'm going to stick to it.
Yeah, excellent pick. That if you have the album with the original artwork, it's worth a lot of money these days.
Ooh, I'll bet.
Yeah, I don't have
it. Changed it right after the release because it was controversial.
Yeah, I'm looking at the original cover right now. It's yeah, I can see why.
Yikes.
I'm not gonna I don't think I'm gonna put that one up for everybody to see. So
Yeah, probably a good choice.
yikes. Yeah, skip that.
But just saying,
kids.
if you happen to be one of the first guys to go and get that album and have that, then that's worth a lot of money.
I'll bet.
Yeah, I wasn't. Unfortunately, I was only like 4 years old. This was not
You
music my
youngin'.
parents were letting me rock out to in my crib.
This was among the albums that my mom threw away because it was Satan's music.
I'll bet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my CD of this got
Just
broke in half.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
This one was one of those. It was controversial. The
Yeah.
parents.
Still I think it still ticks off the occasional parent here and there. That's how it's got some staying power when it comes to that.
it ticks off my wife, let's be
You
honest.
can still be a little bit rebellious and be a Guns N' Roses GNR. Wow, that's a good pick. Rock on, Robert.
Mm-hmm.
Good pick.
All right, Matt.
Okay.
Did we take your first 2 picks?
Yep.
Yeah.
You
That's why I
totally did.
didn't want to go last.
So I had them in that order actually. So the
Let's
way
go
that
for
it's
your
gone
number
tonight-
3.
Yeah, I had Brandon's pick was my number 1 pick.
Yeah.
My number 2 pick was GNR.
You know what's funny?
Weird
I
shit.
almost picked Joshua Tree as well, but I was confident that one of you two were going to pick it.
I
So,
thought for sure somebody else was going to pick it. Yeah.
and I didn't think you picked Guns N' Roses because I figured you'd say it was too obvious because we went to the concert together.
Right?
Yeah, you can't deny though the Guns, and you still hear those songs on the radio today.
In
You know,
every
oh, yeah.
every stadium that you go to, every
Yeah,
sports
absolutely.
game, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Well,
Those are
and one of my favorite movies that my mother forced me to watch because she thought it was wholesome, Welcome to the Jungle, was throughout the whole thing. Have you guys seen the movie Lean on Me?
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a great show.
Lean on me.
That's wholesome indeed.
Yeah, but it's got Welcome to the Jungle in there. Hmm.
A good pick.
Great pick.
All right, so I'm going with my number 3 pick,
And number
Matt.
3.
but it's okay because all of these picks were pretty much tie, for all of these. So
Right on.
what I'm gonna go with, speaking of stadium crowd pleasers,
Ooh.
yeah, we're gonna go with Journey.
Escape?
Good choice.
Escape.
Yeah.
Escape.
Right there.
Yeah.
It's on the
Gonna go with
wall.
Escape on the wall. I saw it there, Brandon. And I was worried that you were gonna pick that one too.
It's on my list.
Yeah. So I had a bunch of them. Then to round out my top 5, I had Synchronicity for the Police, and then
yeah.
I had Full Moon Fever for Tom Petty.
Okay. Thought Tom would
But-
show up. Yeah.
Yeah, he's there. And I went back and forth on that one too. But Escape is what I'm going with. That for me epitomizes the 80s. It's
That-
just all about Steve Perry and the band Journey. When those guys were in their heyday, they were unstoppable. Awesome. I mean, listen to the songs on this album. You've got Don't Stop Believing. You got Stone in Love. You got Who's Crying Now. You got Keep on Running, Still They Ride, Escape, Lay It Down, Dead or Alive, Mother, Father, and Open Arms ends it. I mean,
See, you start
what-
with Don't Stop Believing, you end with Open Arms. Like
yeah.
everything in the middle rocks harder than people think.
Oh,
you,
yeah.
You think it'd be a soft album, a U2 type feel, but
Yeah.
my favorite
Neil's-
Stone in Love. I personally,
Yeah, it's a great song.
man, that rocks.
Neil Sean was amazing. Amazing. Still is amazing.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize this. I was doing a little bit of research on him, and he was playing with Santana back in the day as a
How-
teenager.
Oh, you mean, like just messing around, or like an apprentice?
No, like in the band,
Oh.
Santana.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that's quite
Crazy.
the teacher.
Yeah. So he's amazing. They've just got an amazing group, but there's no other voice like Steve
Mm.
Perry. There's just
He-
not. The guy rocks. He's amazing.
I mean, look at some of this album artwork. I mean, just 80s, right? Just-
Totally.
Just
Yeah.
straight up 80s. And then the cool album cover, and man, yeah, front to back, start to finish. Had this thing going yesterday on the turntable. I didn't skip one of them. It's great.
Yeah, it's hard to skip those. I mean, you get kind of sucked in with that voice, and then you mix in there the keyboards and the vocals. I mean, amazing. Jonathan Cain,
Oh,
keyboardist. Guy's incredible.
How do we
Steve
feel-
Smith, I think, is still drumming, but he does like
Is he still with them?
no, well, I don't know now. I mean, it's all mixed up now with the group, but I don't think so. I think he's kind of doing his own thing. He's a jazz drummer and like really what's the word I'm looking for? Accomplished in terms of what he's done since the days of Journey.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you can even recognize the band anymore. Now, they still tour under the name. Their lead singer now. I mean, that's kind of a cool story.
Arnell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting story, and they toured with Randy Jackson. Remember that?
Yeah. He played bass for him for like a year, and now he claims that he was part of Journey. Yeah.
I know, it's funny. But he's been invited back and reunited with those guys a couple of times.
Yo, dog. Yo.
Yeah. Reunited and it feels so good.
See, we could have gone that road
That
too.
album's so good. What were I don't think I gave any of my runners up. Robert, did you have any runners up, or are we done talking about Escape? Because I love that album.
Yeah, I think so. That was just an excellent album, and it reminds me of going to high school dances, and you always wanted to try to find the one person that you really liked for when they did Open Arms or whatever.
For sure.
So, and they played all those songs even when I was in high school back in mid 90s. They were still playing these songs at high school dances. So it's and I still hear this stuff on the radio too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got staying power. It's just an amazing album.
Yeah, and again, the middle of that album rocks harder than people think.
Yeah, for sure.
They get after it. Speaking of rock, my number one obviously was Joshua Tree. Number two, Appetite for Destruction. Number three, AC/DC, Back in Black.
Yeah. AC/DC was my runner-up.
That was in my top 10 too.
And then there's moving pictures from Rush, Eliminator, ZZ Top. Woof, right there. Belladonna from Your Girl. Stevie Nicks. Wow, that's a great album. Everybody, if you're a fan of Rumors, you got to go check out Stevie Nicks' Belladonna.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Stevie's amazing.
One thing I found when I was spinning it yesterday on the turntable, looking over the artwork, she credits Bill Cosby's house in her album.
Oh yeah.
They rent, and so I looked up the story. They rented Bill Cosby's house in Laurel Canyon back in the day, back when everybody was in Laurel Canyon.
Hopefully he was on his best behavior.
Right. He wasn't there apparently. So they just used his house and credited his house. So
interesting.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting. And then the music's amazing. She wrote most of it, worked with Tom Petty and Don Henley, Don Felder as well.
Stevie Nicks wanted to be a heartbreaker.
I think you
Tom
told
Petty
me the
wouldn't let her.
story. Yeah, she couldn't be a heartbreaker.
Nah.
She breaks my heart every time I listen to her.
Crazy to turn down one
that's
of the
true.
greatest voices of all time, one of the greatest musicians of all time. Then there's Beastie Boys, License to Ill, Master of Puppets, my favorite Metallica album.
Is that your favorite? That's your favorite album?
I think Master of Puppets, or Ride the Lightning's good. I prefer
It's a
those
good
late
one.
80s Metallica albums.
I like the Black Album,
Black Album's great. I mean,
but that was the 90s, so we can't
It
couldn't
is.
go there.
Styx Paradise Theater. Country. Did any of you
Paradise
stumble upon
Theater.
any country
Well, I listen to lots of country
from the
so-
80s?
Well, yeah. I mean,
Be honest.
Nope.
Hold on. I gotta do
Didn't
some
even cross
Googling.
my radar.
Look it up, because that was a rough decade for the country music genre.
I think the 90s is when they had their kind of
There was
coming out party.
There was a resurgence.
Country.
Country, I saw I saw the emergence of Reba McEntire, George Strait, Randy Travis. Okay.
Yeah, Randy Travis is good.
Okay.
I like him.
But you had the decline of like Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, all the greats, Johnny Cash, Dolly. Even she had a pretty good beginning of the 80s, but Dolly Parton's like, I think, one of the most underrated songwriters of all time.
Yeah,
same
she's
with
a
Willie.
good one.
They created the Highwaymen, I think mid 80s, 85 ish. That was a cool album, the first Highwaymen album. But
yeah.
yeah,
Was that Chris Christopherson? Did he
Yeah.
have his day back in the day?
Yep. Chris Christopherson and Nelson.
He would have been 80s. Chris
Cash.
Christopherson probably would have been 80s.
Yeah.
That's
I
when
couldn't-
he was at his
George
peak.
Strait.
I couldn't find an album I could listen to start to finish though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
without
mean,
skipping
that's
a track.
the thing with country artists is they have some good songs and then they have
Yeah.
a lot of absolute crap.
They
How
really
about Chris Ledoux?
Chris Ledoux. Love Chris Ledoux.
Yeah, I
He,
mean, he's got some good stuff. You know
he
what I
played-
like about Chris Ledoux though? Like he's a legit cowboy.
He is.
Yeah.
He was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They got a
So here's
statue of
here's
him.
my Chris
in the
Ledoux
summertime.
story. Okay,
Ooh.
All right.
you,
Bring it.
you ready for this
Just Ledoux it, sir.
one? Wow! Please cut that out of the final cut.
Yes, please do it.
No, so Chris Ledoux, I want to say he lived in Wyoming for a while. Well, I know he did.
No, he did.
That's where this story comes from. But my brother-in-law was a kind of a worked odd jobs and was a ranch hand for a while. And when he ran into Chris Ledoux at this bar before he was big and just kind of drank with him all night. That was his claim to fame. He just kind of drank with Mr. Ledoux all night, like after his set and stuff at this dive bar somewhere in Wyoming, like at some, I don't even know where it was. It was like somewhere in the middle of nowhere. I mean, you've been through Wyoming, so we know it's all kind of the middle of nowhere, right?
Casper, it looks like. So,
Okay, well there you go.
Casper's nice. It's not off I-80.
No, it's got some. I mean, if you're a ranch man, it's a great town.
Yeah. So he did that for a while and ran into Chris Ledoux and always talks about how he met up and drank with Chris Ledoux all night.
He's a legend.
That's
and
awesome.
most of his songs, I'm looking at the songs here. Most of the ones I know from him are early 90s. Yeah, a lot of late 80s though. You could throw him into the mix. Traveling Wilburys, weren't they 80s?
Yes, they were. That's
Do
true.
not know them.
I feel like they should have had more
Robert,
hits, but
go listen to the Traveling Wilburys then. You need to go listen to it
Handle with Care.
whenever.
Handling with Care. Is that what it is?
Handle with Care. I think that was
with Care.
George Harrison. So Robert, for the audience and Robert, if you don't know who were in the Traveling Wilburys, you got legends. Okay, you got George Harrison. You got Bob Dylan. You got Tom Petty. And you've got, what's his name?
Jeff
You got
Lynne.
Roy Orbison. You got Jeff Lynne. That's who I was trying
Yeah.
to think of. And Roy Orbison. I mean, come on.
One of the
Come
greatest
on.
voices of all time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
That's
check
another
this
guy
out.
too. Roy
Handle
Orbison.
with Care. That's a great song. A good album. I listened to that
Yeah.
one start to finish. There were a few I think they could have pepped up a little bit, but again, who am I going to question those legends? I mean, that's a super band. And yeah, that was 80s. Against the Wind, Seeger.
There you go.
Any other albums from the 80s that you want to give some love to? I've got a couple.
Okay, wait, before you do that. So I did you just reminded me of the question I was going to ask you. Here it is.
Oh, that's right.
Did either one of you guys consider some more of the electronic style stuff from the 80s? Like Depeche Mode.
Okay.
I
I tried
didn't
did that-
consider them.
I tried.
Did that come up in your okay?
It did. It did. Mr. Depeche Mode, even Rick Astley. I gave.
Yeah.
It was a great album.
Well,
You're
did
right.
you know that Rick Astley is rated, like his song Never Give Up is rated like the worst song of the 80s?
Is that
I
right?
Disagree.
But
Oh,
it's
that's
because
surprising.
of 2008 when everybody Rick rolled everybody.
Nah,
I can think of worse songs.
And then
For
Together
sure.
Forever, Together Forever. I mean, he's got good stuff, man. And he's milking it again. Good for him.
How about REM? Did you consider REM?
REM, I
at all?
did. Yep, they're on my list.
Okay.
I'm an REM fan.
Yeah,
They're,
me too.
They're not people I tend to like personally, but I do like their music. When you've got people like Oingo Boingo and Mr. Mister, and they're not deep, they're just having fun. They try and get deep,
Yeah.
but it's cheesy. And then you got people who get super deep like U2, REM. And then we didn't talk about, I think he's the third highest selling artist from that decade, Bon Jovi. We haven't mentioned him at all. How we feeling about Bon Jovi?
Okay, Bon Jovi is the same for me. I can't do a full Bon Jovi album.
With you. Yep.
I can't do a what's his name too? New Jersey. Wow, I'm having a
Bruce.
mind blank.
The Boss.
Bruce.
I'm
I
with
can't
you.
do the
Oh,
Boss either for a full album. I can listen to a couple of songs here and there, but I can't do a full album.
when they come on the radio, I'm ready to crank it. But
And I think he had some on that list in the 80s. You know, I think Nebraska came out in the 80s,
Born in the USA.
and that's considered one of the best albums of all time. I think
it is.
I can't
For the experts.
do it.
I just need somebody to explain it to me, or
Well, here's the conspiracy part of the podcast. Okay, you ready for this?
I am ready.
I think this is my theory. Bruce is one of those guys like Dave Grohl, okay, that has paid his dues somehow to the group that runs things in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and kind of behind in the industry leaders. Okay, so whatever he's done, I don't know. You can speculate, but there's been some sort of dues that he's paid to kind of constantly be seen and stuff, because he doesn't have as much talent as a lot of other people that don't have the visibility that he has.
And people
And I maintain that it's because, you know, he's part of this background group that runs things in the music industry.
Is it the Illuminati?
There's gotta be something.
I'm not going to say
The music.
that there's
Natty.
something.
It's all who you know and
The music naughty.
Music
Nice
Natty.
one.
yeah.
I
Good
mean,
one, Brandon.
So we haven't talked about the number one selling album of all time. And I'm
Michael
wondering-
Jackson.
Yeah. So this one right here.
Mad.
Thriller.
Yeah. Oh, Thriller.
Thriller.
Okay.
Bad, awesome album as well. But Thriller had Billie Jean. Thriller. Beat it. I mean, it's a Quincy Jones masterpiece with Michael Jackson. He had Van Halen do the guitar pieces on Beat It, and many other. He had whoever he wanted came in, sat in on a session, created these masterpieces, start to finish, an amazing album. Number one selling album of all time, with the exception, I believe, as of late, I think this is the number one now, the Eagles' greatest hits from the mid 70s. But Thriller's right there behind it. We're talking over 80 million albums sold just from one album.
I would have put you more for a David Bowie guy.
David Bowie, he had some good stuff. Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, until I watched the movie Labyrinth. That ruined David Bowie.
It messed you up.
80s.
It messed me up.
80s David Bowie, that's all I think about too. So,
Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The pants and how young
We used
I
to
was
watch
when I saw
everybody
that.
see that movie.
We used to watch that for like young men, young women activities back
Oh,
in
good.
back in the day.
No,
I think
way.
that was inappropriate.
Yeah,
based on his pants.
Dance.
We used to watch it.
And
Mhm. I know
Let's
which part you
dance.
put on repeat. I
I
don't know. Van
Is the-
Halen.
Hair
That's
bands.
good.
Yeah, let's talk hair bands real
Yeah.
quick. Halen. Yeah. Scorpions. Yeah.
Scorpions.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I should have picked.
I
the
saw
Scorpions.
Scorpions.
That
while I
album
was in
is
college. They've
lit.
really gone downhill, but
Man.
it was a great date.
And then AC/DC had a few. Metallica got going, and then Ozzy was hot.
Ozzy, yeah.
Def Leppard. I mean, that was a that was a huge decade for hair, man.
Yeah, it was. I should have gone with the Scorpions. What was I thinking?
Such a good album. Oh man. And then Madonna, I think she was the second highest selling artist that decade, behind Michael Jackson. I want nothing to do with her, so I'll just be honest on that.
Hey, why are you such a Madonna hater?
I can't stand her. She had a British accent for a while, and she's from freaking Bay City, Michigan. And
yeah, but maybe she lived,
hit her head.
She lived in London for a week and came out with a
sometimes
British
you pick up
accent.
accents.
Whatever.
Don't hate the material, girl. Come on.
I just can't do it. Dire Straits had some
That guy.
good 80s. Yeah.
Yeah, Brothers in Arms, I think, came
Yeah,
out in the 80s.
that's
maybe.
it. Yep.
Yeah. That's an awesome album. And that one I could listen to start to
I
finish.
could too. Absolutely. I believe I have many times with my Faja, but
Oh, is your dad a big fan of the Dire Straits?
yeah, my dad, nonstop Dire Straits, Moody Blues. Yeah.
Your dad's a Moody Blues fan?
Oh, big time. He got me hooked on Moody Blues. Oh yeah.
This man must be
a somewhat
amazing.
cool guy.
Yep.
Super
Yeah,
cool.
I
it's the
never
good
would have
side.
guessed based on his offspring.
Moody Blues. Brother. Easy.
Moody Blues is it.
Today we learned about all the great music from the 80s, and we
Yeah.
all have very similar tastes. Thank goodness I did not go third, because if I did, I would have had to scramble for another pick. So it was good. Like us, subscribe, listen again, tell all your friends, and have a good night. Bye.
Good night. Bye.
Bye. Say that again, Matt, so I can get that for the recording.
I'm not going to repeat that.
You better.
That
You
was
better,
dirty.
you better, you bet.
Can't believe you said that.
You got to mention my boy, Bob Seger. You're always so hard on Bob Seger. What's the deal?
No, it's
You
'cause
should love him because he's
I
from
do
your
lo-
neck of the woods.
Easy, son. I love him. I love him more than life itself. You got a
do it.
lot to talk about.
I have nothing to say.
Bobby's gonna give his pick, and then radio.
Just
silence.
drop the mic.
This is
That's
it.
it.
This is the best one. All y'all
That's
are
it.
wrong. I'm right. Can't see John Cena. Hey.
Hey, hey, hey.
No,
Isn't that the John Cena?
It is. Yes. Baby, you're all that I want.
When you're lying here in my arms,
But-
save me, take me away. You know, loved it. Awesome. Awesome concert. So yeah, I've been to a Christopher Cross concert. Don't hate.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it. Did your mom take you?
No, your mom did.
Yeah, she would.
City up. Yeah.
Just give me just one more night. Come on, Brandon, sing it.
One more day.
Do it. Man, that guy, I'm telling you, Phil Collins is where it's at. Go listen to Melancholy Man. I do it every night before I go to bed.
Oh my gosh, I just noticed my daughter's in the chair behind me.
Hey, there's a ghost.
Wait a second.
Has she been there the whole time?
I didn't notice.
I haven't noticed either.
Does she want to
We
be
have
our
a fan
guest?
club.
Does she want to be our guest this week?
I don't know. Looks like we put her to sleep.
Guest be our guest.
I didn't know she was in here. That explains the text I got from my wife asking if she was in here, and I responded no.
Oh,
My
Okay,
wife
so she's
might be-
frantically looking for
Uh,
her.
She
I
may
just
be
got-
frantically looking for
I
a
just
daughter.
got an Amber Alert on my phone, and
Yeah.
Calling all the
He's right
Grantsville
there.
neighbors.
Right,
you might
Hold
want
on.
to squash that.
right there. Yep,
Oh, man.
mystery solved.
Way to go, Robert.
I'm not gonna tell her.
Yeah.
Every time we do a podcast, my list of things to watch grows.
Watch too much TV, I think. Stuff. And
Well,
All right, well,
anyway.
I will check it out, but only
it.
because I'm pissed off. I wasted the last 2 weeks watching Manifest with my wife.
Oh yeah, I could have
And
told you. I
my-
could have saved you some time on that one.
Oh my, it would have been fine other than they canceled it. And the way they ended it, I'm like, I just
Right.
invested 2 weeks into this.
Interested in
Just don't
starting
even
that?
start. Don't.
Okay, I won't, but you got to tell me how it ends.
It ended prematurely. That's
It didn't
how it
really
ended.
end. They had to kind of figure out how to prematurely end it.
Was it
So the
because
last
it got
episode,
canceled?
the boy
Yeah.
Cal,
Exactly.
he goes and touches the fin and he disappears, right? And then they go drop it in the ocean and they're expecting him to come back and he doesn't. And then Mama's back at the house and crazy lady decides to kill her. And then Cal comes back as like an adult and is like, "Hi, Mama." Cutscene over.
I think you should write shows, Robert. Write and direct.
Well, I could write a better ending than they did.
I know. That's what I'm talking about. Do it.
She's either asleep or passed out.
You go to sleep or I will put you to sleep.
Oh, that is bad. Ciao. I'm clear.
All right, good job. It's
Hey.
going to end. Any
Love
second. I love all of
Good
you.
night.
Bye.
Sweet dreams.